Don't kill the cat! Hello, and welcome to the first episode of The More I Learn, The Less I Know. It's hard saying that without a smug face. Yeah, it's just how life works. It's kind of cruel sometimes, it's kind of ironic, but we're here to learn, so let's go. Hello, again. I decided to record and live stream so I could avoid countless hours of editing and post. I wanted to do this at the beginning of this year, but here's October. Anyway, this is a serial? This is a series of a show that I came up with back in 2016, which is 7 years ago. And I often have like these questions that come to my head that I ask myself about things that I don't know, that I want to figure out, even if they're minuscule, unimportant things. And I started writing them down to later look them up online. This is going to be the first episode, the first official episode, which will have the first topic that I added to this specific list after coming up with the idea to make this show. I'll be looking at a few topics per episode. I'll try to keep the duration of the episodes between 10 and 20 minutes at most. And I have this thing here. I have this little life split speedrunning thing, applet, which is going to try to keep me in, this is the duration of the first episode, it's going to try to keep me within the bounds of something more reasonable. Let me start it then. Start. Yeah. And this is Don't Kill the Cat, episode 1. I'm going to be looking over a few topics. The topics of this episode are going to be first we have a quote, we have an etymological overview of a word or a phrase, and then there's 3 topics, which I will explain as I go. I forgot to mention that I have a really long list. This list I've been building up as I've been going through my daily life. Some days I come up with 10 topics, for example. Some months I don't add anything to the list. I've landed on the Wikipedia page. This is where we're going to be spending most of our time on this show. I will try to add as much external sources as I can, but yes, Wikipedia, thank you Wikipedians for everything that you've done for the world. Anyway, split. The quote of this episode is, Curiosity killed the cat. Proverb. Curiosity killed the cat is a proverb used to warn of the dangers of unnecessary investigation or experimentation. And also unnecessary. See, who decides what we talk about? Who decides if it's necessary or not? It also implies that being curious can sometimes lead to danger or misfortune. The original term of the proverb, now rarely used, was care killed the cat. In this instance, care was defined as worry or sorrow for others. Origin. It appears in the play of 1598 by Ben Jonson. Let's take a look in the search engine. Ignorance killed the cat. Curiosity was framed. You can see the cat. I don't know how it's gonna be killed in this thing, in this photo, but yeah, maybe the cats are curious. Okay, let's just move on. Etymology. Etymology of the word etymology. Etymology. The scientific study of the origin and evolution of a word's semantic meaning across time, including its constituent morphemes and phonemes, which is, I guess, the way that it looks, the way that it's formed, and the way that it's pronounced, the word. Let's look into this. I had these little, this is Brave Browser. It's not giving me up the previews of the page. I've tried to find information on that, but I can't for Wikipedia, which is, obviously, we're going to be clicking on a lot of links within the articles. Morpheme, the smallest meaningful constituent of a linguistic expression. Phoneme in phonology and linguistics, a phoneme is a set of phones that can distinguish one word from another in a particular language. A phone is any distinct speech sound or gesture, regardless of whether the exact sound is critical to the meanings of words. Etymology. Let's see the etymology of etymology. Etymology of the word etymology derives from the ancient Greek etymologia. Etymologia. I can't really read Greek, but I know what to expect of the word. Etymologia is the way we say it in Bulgarian. So that was the key there. Itself from etymo. I don't know what that letter is. Nu? Oh, it's for N, yes. Etymon, meaning true, sense, or sense of a truth. And the suffix logia is the study or logic of. Etymon is the sense of a truth. That's perfect. I like this etymology. It makes sense. It makes perfect sense for the reason that you would use this word. The term etymon refers to the predicate, i.e. stem or root, from which a later word or morpheme derives. For example, the Latin word candidus, which means white. See, this is why I love reading into these and like leading from one to the other, because you find a lot of connections, and especially in etymology you find so many connections, and you can better understand, well, let's not say the purpose or reason for anything, because it's just words, but the way that words are connected, and you can understand why something was called whatever it was called. Relationships are often less transparent, however. English place names such as Winchester, Gloucester, I don't know how that's pronounced.
Gloucester.
Tadcaster share in different modern forms of a suffix etymon that was once meaningful. Okay, from castrum, fort. Castor means fort. Let's take a look at this graphic as well, because we've been spending like how many minutes on this thing? Yeah, 5 minutes just on etymology. That's insane. Etymon derivative cognate. Yes, this is what I was talking about. You can find connections between relationships between etymologically related words, and you can understand. I don't know. I'm trying to make sense of it, because it's just a word. It's just the name, but you can understand what the idea of a certain thing was, and what it might have derived from, like the development of a tool or whatever. Yeah, anyway. Yeah, I'm not, we don't have time for this, unfortunately, but it's useful stuff. Etymology. Right. Next, we're moving on to the early entries, which for this episode I'm looking at the first, but I'm always going to be trying to be looking at the first entry of, the oldest entry, if I'm not like biased towards something around it.
6 hours later.
I wanted to do another episode along with this one, but I don't know if I'm going to last. and it got pretty late. I spent over 6 hours setting this up, and I still have issues. Like, I figured out how to route the I have a multi-channel sound audio interface, sound cards external thing that I can only route 2 channels into OBS from it, and I cannot use any of the remaining 6 channels that I have, and which is an issue if I want to input another device, especially if it's a stereo device and I want to have a mic. But Mac doesn't have an internal audio routing tool. Like, there was this thing called Soundflower, but it doesn't run on ARM, and there is this thing called Black Hole, but I can't for the life of me figure out how to use it to route physically, like, and concept route something. And yeah, and it is still running like the way that I'm capturing desktop audio, which there might be a inconsistency in the delay. I try to fix it, but whatever. Figure it out later. Yeah, it is going through that, but I managed to do it on the laptop that I had. Use Logic to input a separate channel and then send it to that Black Hole thing, and then input it into OBS as a mixed thing. But yeah, whatever. Anyway, back to the topic. The outro is, thank you for joining me on this journey. I hope you enjoyed learning with me. It was interesting to look into the origin of the title of this series, and maybe I should take a look at it more in depth, but yeah, maybe that should be offline. Because this is how much? 40 minutes? Yeah, I'm gonna be having a hard time cutting this up again. But at least I'm not gonna be looking for the source. I don't know for what reason I decided while I'm filming that. I just filmed my face and didn't film the screen in any way. I didn't record the display of the screen. And yeah, I had to look everything up again and extract screenshots and animate everything, and it was just such a pain. At least we won't be looking at that now. I'll try to add some stuff in the in the finalized version of this, but hopefully it doesn't get out of hand again as it did with the first episode. And hopefully this will be able to extract subtitles. YouTube wasn't capable. I used this tool. I kind of hacked it. I used like all these text replacing and stuff to extract text from this tool that could extract text from the whole video and turn it into subtitles. And I think that DaVinci can do this now with the newest versions. Hopefully it can, because YouTube didn't want to. I let the video sit in the thing. It said processing subtitles forever. I let it sit for like 2 months before attempting to. That's why I initially didn't start recording the next episode right away, because it just took forever to start like the process of production of that episode. Yeah, my throat hurts again. Yeah, I'll just be ending this here. I want to do these at least once a week. And I want to release the videos at least one episode every 2 weeks. So I'll try to make a little backlog for whenever I am unable to film. So I'll have like a few videos to release to keep a schedule. but at the moment, I think I'm gonna be recording on Tuesday, streaming and recording, and eventually I haven't decided when I'll be releasing these, but let's just get through this first one first, and then I'll decide. It probably won't be before next week. I mean, before the next filming of the next episode. But yeah, I'll try to keep it going like a steady cycle so that this doesn't happen again. It doesn't go for months and months. I think let me take a look. I think it was 18 months, but let's just see here. Yes, this is 12 plus 5 is 17 months later, almost a complete 17 months after the first. I'm sorry, I want to get to these, but things keep piling up around me, and yeah, that's just the way that I deal with things, I guess. I just leave them behind. I have so many old projects that I want to do, and they always keep getting pushed behind other stuff. And yeah, I'll try to maintain a steady workflow of introducing new projects into my schedule that I obviously am doing all the time, adding new stuff to my to-do list, and trying to take care of stuff that have been piling up over the years. This is the first week that I'm trying to make a little cycle thing for I have a little schedule of what I'm gonna do each day. For now, the plan is to be doing music on Fridays, and I'm probably gonna be streaming that as well. And yeah. So we'll see how long these will last. I might have to take a break when it's cold, because this studio is really hard to keep warm. Or I might try to come up with an alternative, like make a little makeshift studio where I'll be staying. Anyway, I digress. Thank you for joining me on my journey of knowledge and of going through the internet and clicking on links and reading stuff like a little kid. That's the thing. The Curiosity series, it's accessible for everyone of all ages, especially if you want to learn, and especially if you're still curious about the world around you, as kids are, and still want to know and want to get rid of this conservatism of deflecting everything new out of your life and not caring about anything that doesn't directly interest you or directly has anything to do with your current life, whatever you're doing, and just saying, like, being ignorant, willfully ignorant. That's the worst part of everything, of the whole thing. Willful ignorance is what I'm trying to avoid with this, because these topics, they're most of them are just like curious and interesting stuff, but some of these, like, you learn a lot of things about life and about how to go through life. My general thought is, like, I'm trying to enrich the life experience, and obviously knowledge is power. Knowledge is what helps propel the world forward, and knowledge and science and research and development and just this constant thirst for knowledge and for figuring out how stuff works. I'm looking stuff up, but obviously I'm sure that there will be times where we stop on a question which the internet can't answer, and maybe I'll be looking into how to take this series out of the studio and try to bring it into daily life and try to answer questions within the life experience. What I'm trying to say is, don't forget your curiosity and don't consider it as something childish or shameful. As scholars say, there is no dumb question, there's no bad question. So even if it's something really obvious or something that might sound very simple, like for example the perennial plant, it's something that that might come to your mind when you think about it, but if you don't know certain things, if you haven't read them up or seen them in real life or heard about them, there's no way that you could know. And it's better to know little tiny facts than to not know basic things about life and to wonder how things work. And to what's worse is to not wonder and to just be baffled when something goes wrong because of unexpected circumstances, because you didn't know about something simple that maybe you could have known if you were just a little bit more curious. Yeah, 35 was what I cut the extended version of the first episode at, and this is 50, but I'm gonna be cutting a lot of this blabbering out. So yeah, I just want the important stuff to stick. And I'll try to avoid, maybe I'll have like a segment if we ever get any viewers in this, because I don't know how long it's gonna take, but I know that it's hard to start out, and especially with like if you're not popular, it'll be hard to get viewers, to get traction at the beginning, and especially if I'm not consistent, I don't know if I'll be able to work with these against the system that always pushes newer stuff forward and hides older stuff or less active accounts. So yeah, maybe I'll try to share this on, I don't know. I'll try, see how it goes. Yeah, and I'll try to make some shorts out of this as well. Try to get more eyes on these. And I'm not interested in the personal popularity aspect of this at all. I could even hide my face in these. It doesn't really matter. I want the viewer to build up this curiosity and to try to maintain it with the help of these episodes, to not feel uncomfortable to ask themselves questions of stuff that they want to figure out in life, how things work. And yeah, just chatting. So yeah, I might do a segment at the end of recording, like the full thing, of like a discussion or delving into the topics a little bit in more detail or something. But like try to keep the main segment shorter so I don't have to cut as much, because I don't like editing. I'm really good at editing, which is like the paradox is that I'm really good at editing. No, the irony is that I'm really good at editing, but I'm really, 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 really bored of editing. I want to do this, and maybe eventually I could pay someone to edit these for me. But yeah, I don't know if we'll ever get to that point. Yeah, because I just want to create. I don't want to sit on the computer and think about which little block goes where and how to do subtitles and whatever. Which another thing that I've been thinking about is the automated subtitles that I'm gonna be adding. Obviously I'm gonna be proofreading of everything, which might take a while, but yeah, keeping these shorter is obviously a priority. I'm gonna be translating those. I auto-translate them and then I proofread them again. And then if ever I find someone to do to do it in a different language, because obviously my two main languages, I could deal with those, but I don't want to risk. I think I'm going to see if YouTube is going to be able to auto-translate to other languages, and then I might not even bother. But if it isn't capable of doing that, then I might look into having someone actually translate the subtitles, because I want these to be accessible for as many people as possible. Oh yeah, and since my throat is hurting, I was just reminded of something that I thought of before starting this episode. Is obviously we have a lot of AI and these robot stuff going on. I used a text-to-speech thing for to read out pronunciations of different words in the previous episode. But I recently thought about, or I don't know if it was earlier or just before starting this, I could just make the computer read out things that I want, because I don't know if it's like when I'm talking with someone, it's different. Maybe it's just because I'm focusing and I'm trying to keep a certain tone in this. But when I talk to someone, even if I talk for hours and hours, I don't have an issue. But when I start to record something or sing, when I'm singing, my throat gets tired so quickly, and it starts like tensing really hard, even if I'm not like trying to be loud or trying to be overly enthusiastic or something. It's just a thing. Maybe I'll get over it eventually, but I don't know. Anyway, I digress. So I'm going to be cutting this off here, and 5 gigabytes later and I'll be publishing. Keep on the lookout for the first episode, which I'll probably release it after I record the next one, because I want to know to be sure that I can maintain this cycle, and I might start to release them once a month initially. We'll see how I get how I deal with these first, to decide whether I'll be able to manage. Because if there's a lot of editing, like the first episode I edited over 5 days, like work days, maybe 3, but that's if we don't include all the additional things that I've done for the episode, like trying to extract additional content and stuff and add memes and whatever. Yeah, we'll see how it goes. I also wanted to add the sound effects, but I already think I mentioned that I couldn't figure out how to do the hotkeys here in OBS. Yeah, I have a little song thing here, like a little playlist of self-made music, but we'll see. We'll be getting to that. Maybe next episode I'll just run the music at first. Yeah, hopefully we get some viewers, and this is gonna be interesting if people are like, if we're having a back and forth with viewers. And yeah, see you next episode, where we'll be looking at more interesting stuff. Yes.